Everyone thinks empires collapse with explosions. They don't. Most of the time, they fade, quietly, slowly, while everyone is watching something else. And that's exactly what might be happening right now, but not in the way you think. Let me start with something strange. The United States has the strongest military on Earth, the largest financial system, the most powerful companies. So how could its era be ending? Here's the part most people miss. Power doesn't disappear, it moves. Quick question. When was the last time the US won a war decisively? Not stabilized, not managed, won. That pause you're feeling? That matters. For decades, America didn't just fight wars, it shaped the entire system. Trade, security, money, rules. Countries didn't ask if the US would lead, they asked how. That was the American era. But systems don't break when they're attacked, they break when people stop believing in them. Here's the first crack. The US didn't lose power, it lost focus. Iraq, Afghanistan, 20 years, trillions of dollars. And in the end, no clear victory, no clear order. That sent a signal, not to Americans, to everyone else. Now zoom out. While the US was fighting insurgents, China was building ports, roads, railways. Not with tanks, with contracts. Most people think China wants to replace the US. That's wrong. China wants something smarter. China doesn't want to run the system. It wants to make sure it can't be controlled against China. Big difference. And it's working. Today, China is the largest trading partner for more countries than the US. Read that again. Trade shapes loyalty, not speeches, not ideology, money. But here's where it gets interesting. China isn't the only problem. America's allies are changing too. Europe still depends on US security, but doesn't trust US politics. Japan relies on US protection, but trades deeply with China. The world isn't choosing sides anymore. It's hedging. That's not rebellion, that's preparation. Now let's talk about the dollar. This is where most people panic. The dollar is collapsing. It's over. No, relax. The dollar isn't collapsing, but something more subtle is happening. The dollar used to be the option. Now it's the safest option. That sounds similar. It's not. When alternatives exist, power weakens. Slowly, quietly, just enough. Countries don't need to replace the dollar, they just need a backup. And once you have a backup, you behave differently. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The biggest threat to American dominance isn't China, it's inconsistency. One election, one policy. Next election, the opposite. Allies plan decades ahead. America plans 4 years ahead. That uncertainty spreads, and when trust fades, systems adjust. Now pause. Does this mean the US is finished? No. That's the trap question. The US is still the most powerful single country on Earth. But here's the shift. Being the strongest isn't the same as being central. And the American era was about centrality. Here's a rule of history most people never learn. Empires don't fall when they're weak. They fall when others stop organizing around them. That's happening now. Supply chains are regionalizing. Security is fragmenting. Diplomacy is transactional. The world isn't breaking, it's reorganizing. So what comes next? This is where people get it wrong. A post-American world does not mean a Chinese one. It means a messy one. More negotiations, more regional powers, more instability, less certainty. And here's the final twist. The American era didn't end because the US failed. It ended because it succeeded. It built a world where others became strong enough to say no. That's the secret. The system worked too well. And now it no longer needs a single manager. So, is this the end of the American era? Not with a collapse, not with a war, but with a slow shift most people won't notice until it's already complete. And here's the part almost no one talks about. The next global order won't be announced. There will be no moment, no headline. One day we'll just look back and realize America stopped being the center, and the world moved on. That's how eras really end.